Okay, Year 9, I'm just going to go through the solutions to the quiz we did in class the other day, the factorising quiz. Here it is here. And so if you want to go over and check your solutions, you can see how I did it or how I was able to answer it. So let's have a go. And we'll do the first couple of questions. We'll do all of the questions. So the first step, the first one, I'm looking at this equation. Oops, sorry, that's a bit, this one here. I've got to find something that goes into 6x, it goes into 24. That's pretty easy. I can take 6 out the front, and then I'm left with x. And 6 goes into 24 4 times. Let's have a look over here at this one. I've got these 3 terms. I've got to factorise something out of each of those. Well, I can see I can get a number out. The biggest number I can get out is 3. And I can see there's a p in each of them, so I can take out a p. And there's a q in each of them, so I can take out a q. Now, I take a p and q, 3pq out of the first one, I'm just left with 3. If I take 3 out of the next one, I'm left with minus 5. And I took out a p, but there's another p there, and I took out the q. And the last term there, I take out the 3, that leaves me with 1. I don't need to write that. I took out the p, I don't need to, that's gone. And I took out 1q, so I'm left with a q. Now, the next one. There's no numbers I can take out of this next one, here down here. But I can factor out the r, so I take the r out, and then I'm left with a 3 and a minus s. All right, the last one, the easy ones. These two terms, and I've underlined the common factor there. There's an x plus y there. So I take out the x plus y. And in the first term, I'm left with 3. And the second one, I'm left with minus 2x. And that was 1 mark for each of these. So there's your first 4 marks. Let's go here. Question 2. Now, question 2 is all about factorising the difference of two squares. And the first one is really easy because I know that the difference of two squares comes out to a plus b, the square root of the first term, plus the square root of the second time, and the square root of the first term minus the square root of the second term. That's a difference of two squares. That's actually something you need to know. That's why I put that question first, because it's the basic definition, the difference of two squares. Now, if we go to the next ones, here's k squared minus 36. Well, that's going to be k plus 6, k minus 6. Pretty easy. Yes, it is. Here, the square root of 4x squared, well, that's 2x. And the square root of 9y squared, well, that's 3y. So 2x plus 3y, 2x minus 3y. And the last one, well, it's xy plus 10, xy minus 10. And again, 1 mark for each of these. They're pretty easy. So that gave you a total on the first page out of 8. Right, the second page. Well, it looks like this hasn't downloaded when I've saved it as a PDF, but this one was, let me get a sharper pen. And we'll get it black. Okay, I'll just get rid of this. We go here. X squared plus 7x plus 12. Okay, so if I factorise this, something that now you've got to remember this, something that multiplies, so this has a product of 12 and a sum of 7. That's how we do these, a product of 12 and a sum of 7. Okay, well, I think 3 and 4. X plus 3, X plus 4. Well, that's pretty easy. Let's have a look at this one. I need a product of 15 and a sum of -8. Okay. So I reckon that will be X minus 3, X minus 5. Okay, so this is pretty easy. It is when they're monic. So here we go. A product of minus 56 and a sum of plus 1. All right. So minus 50, 8 and 7. Now, X plus 8, X minus 7. Because the sum had to be plus 1, and 7 times 8 gives me, well, minus 7 times 8 is negative 56, and plus 8 minus 7 is 1. 28. Well, again, a product of negative 28 and a sum of negative 3. Now, if you've been having trouble trying to work these out, you can list all the products of 28. Oh, I don't like that one. And all the products of 28. 1 and 28. 2 and 14. 3, no, 3 doesn't go into it. 4 and 7. And that's it. If this answer is going to have an integer factor, which they all do in this test, then it has to be a combination of those, one of those. And I can quickly see that 4 and 7 are going to be my solutions. So the bigger one has to be negative. So X minus 7, why does that have to be? Because it's got to add up to minus 3. And X plus 4. This thing here tells you that the two numbers have to be different in sign. So whenever there's a negative at the back, we've got to have a plus and minus. So it's X minus 7, X plus 4. So this one here has a product of 25, and it's plus, so the two signs have to be the same, and a sum of negative 10. So the two signs have to be negative. Well, I could do the products of 25, 1 and 25, and the only other one I know is 5 and 5. Well, X minus 5, X minus 5, which is X minus 5 squared. Okay, so now we get to the harder ones. What do we do when we have a number in front? Well, that's going to change our product. We're going to have to multiply the number in front by the constant to get the new product. 5 sixes are plus 30. I'll just make this a bit bigger now. Plus 30. And I need numbers that multiply out to 30 and add up to 17. Now remember, we're doing a split method here. So I'm going to write 5x squared. I'm going to have plus 6. And I need two numbers here with an x that multiply out to positive 30 and add up to 17. Well, I think 15 and 2. So I'll go plus 15x plus 2x. And now I look at the first pair of numbers and the second pair of numbers. Now if I look at the first pair of numbers, I need to factorise that. Well, I'm going to take a 5 and an x out, and I'll get x plus 3. And then here in the second set of pair of numbers, I can take out a 2. So I take out plus 2, and I'll get x plus 3. And I see here x plus 3, that's a common factor. So I'll take it out the front. I'll get x plus 3, 5x plus 2, because I've got the 5x left and the 2 left. So that's why that one is hard, and that's the method we did. It's called the product and sum, and it's a split method. Well, let's apply it here to this one now. What do we got? We have a product of, now I have to change this. It's not a product of -3, it's 4 times -3, so my new product is -12. Okay, so write the first term, 4x squared. I've got my -3. Now I need two numbers that multiply out to 12, negative, so they're different sign, and add up to 4. I'm going with -6x plus 2x. Because -6 and 2 multiply out to 12, and -6x plus 2x equals 4x. And look very carefully here, that and that are the same. I haven't changed the equation. I've just written it in another form with 4 terms that now make it easy for me to factorise. So I'll take 2x out of the first 2 terms. So I'll just fix this up. There's my first 2 terms. Now my next 2 terms, I take 2x out of there, which leaves me with, 2x minus 3. And here's a bit of a trick. I'll take 1 out of the next 2 terms, which leaves me with 2x minus 3. That makes it easier for me to see the common factors. And the common factors again, well, the 2x minus 3. And what am I left with? I'm left with, well, I'll put the 2x minus 3 there. And what am I left? I'm left with a 2x plus 1. Okay, this one. Okay, now you'll need your calculator for this, because 8 times -21. When you go to your calculator, and that's -168. Now this is going to be hard, because now you've got 8x squared, and you've got -21, and it's pretty hard to find factors of 168. I had to do this on my calculator. I had to spend a bit of time doing this. But in the end, I found that the two numbers that multiply out to 168, negative, and add up to 22, are plus 28x minus 6x. And you can check them out, but they do. So now I'm going to take 4x out of the front 2, 4x out of these 2, which will leave me 2x plus 7. And this is a bit tricky here, because I've got these negative numbers here. I'm going to take out -3. And watch what it does. It'll leave me with 2x. And if I take -3 out of -21, it's a division, I'll be left with plus 7. So then I've got my common factors again, 2x plus 7 and 2x plus 7. I'll put them out the front, 2x plus 7. And I've got my 4x minus 3. Okay, the last two. Now, they look complicated, but they're not. The first one, well, these are just two terms, and it's the difference of two squares. It's something squared minus something squared. So I can do the difference of two squares. Now remember, the difference of two squares, remember I'm going to write up here, is a plus b, a minus b. I'm just going to write that above, because that's what it's going to be. Well, what's my a? I'm going to use big brackets here because I'm going to be mucking around with it. Well, the square root of x plus 2 squared is x plus 2. Plus the square root of x minus 1 squared. Well, that's x plus 1. Sorry, minus 1. And that's the first bracket. And the second bracket is those two things, but minus. Okay. Well, that'll be in this first one, x plus 2 plus x minus 1. And in this second bracket, x plus 2 minus x. But watch what happens. I'm going to get a minus minus 1 plus 1. Okay, the first bracket, x plus x, I get 2x plus 2 minus 3. That's going to be 2x plus 1. X minus x, hey, that goes. And plus 2 plus 1, that just gives me 3. I don't need the bracket anymore. I can just write 3 times 2x plus 1. Okay. Now, this next one. This x to the 4 makes it look a lot harder. But it's not really. It's the same thing as I was doing before, except it's got a higher power now. So I need to find something that multiplies out to 36 as a product of 36 and a sum of 13. Well, I think that might be 9 and 4. So x squared, because I have to take that back down 2 powers, x squared minus 9 and x squared minus 4. Now, you might think, oh, you factorised it. Yes, I have. But you'll notice here that I wrote factorise fully, and I'm in bold and I made it bigger, because I can take this a bit further, because now I've got the difference of two squares in both of these. So I can go a bit further. So this is going to be x plus 3, x minus 3. And this one's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. Look at that. Okay, so what was that all worth? On this page, that was worth 1, that was worth 1, that was worth 1, that was worth 1. That was worth 1. That was a perfect square. That's pretty easy. This one was involved a bit more. It was worth 2. This one also involved a bit more. It was worth 2. This one, for the sheer size of the number, 168, it was worth 3. This one was worth 3. And this one was worth 3. So that gave you a total of 18 for this page, plus the first page gave you a total out of 26. So I hope that made a bit more sense now that you've seen it. And the solutions are here. Here they are. And they'll also be on the web. Nice, easy factorisation question 1. Difference of two squares, question 2. Factorising trinomials, question 3. And a little bit harder ones for question 4.